The human condition is a landscape of perpetual striving, a restless seeking that promises fulfillment but delivers only a fleeting pause before the next desire takes hold. We build, we achieve, we accumulate. Yet beneath the surface of our modern comforts lies a persistent, quiet ache. To understand the root of this existential restlessness, we must look to the darkest, most uncompromising thinker of the 19th century, Arthur Schopenhauer. For Schopenhauer, the fundamental error of human philosophy was the belief that the universe is guided by reason, purpose, or a benevolent design. He looked past the optimistic illusions of his contemporaries and saw reality for what it truly is, a blind, irrational, and ceaseless rush of energy. He called this force the will. The will is not a conscious intention. It is a primal metaphysical hunger that animates everything in existence. It is the force that makes plants grow toward the light, gravity pull masses together, and animals fight to survive. In human beings, the will manifests as our desires, our instincts, and our desperate drive to persist. But the will carries a profound, built-in tragedy. Because it is blind and infinite, it can never be satisfied. It is a hunger that devours itself. This creates an inescapable psychological loop for the human ego. We find ourselves trapped in a cycle where life swings back and forth like a pendulum between pain and boredom. When we want something we do not have, we suffer from the ache of deprivation. We convince ourselves that if we just achieve that goal, secure that relationship, or buy that object, we will finally be happy. Yet when we finally attain what we desired, the satisfaction is instantly hollowed out. The pleasure fades into a dull normalcy, and we are left with a heavy, suffocating boredom. To escape the boredom, our minds manufacture a new desire, a new lack, and the painful striving begins all over again. We are, in Schopenhauer's view, like passengers on a ship who believe they are charting a course, when in reality we are being tossed about by a violent subterranean ocean. This philosophy does not operate on the rules of standard optimism, but its value lies in its absolute refusal to lie to us. Schopenhauer does not ask us to despair. He asks us to awaken from the collective hallucination of permanent satisfaction. He offers a framework for true liberation, outlining distinct paths to quiet the relentless demands of the will. The first path is found through ascetic contemplation. When we immerse ourselves in a profound work of art, a brilliant piece of music, or the stark beauty of a winter landscape, a strange phenomenon occurs. For a brief, brilliant moment, our personal desires fall silent. We stop asking what the world can do for us, and we simply observe it as it is. In the presence of the sublime, the ego dissolves, and the pendulum of pain and boredom stops swinging. Art acts as a temporary sanctuary from the tyranny of our own minds. The second, more permanent path is the cultivation of deep compassion and ascetic detachment. Schopenhauer realized that our suffering is amplified by the illusion of separation, the belief that my ego is entirely distinct from yours. But if the same primal will animates all of us, then your pain is my pain, and your struggle is my struggle. By recognizing this shared vulnerability, we shift from competitive striving to radical empathy. We begin to lessen our grip on the world, reducing our attachments, our expectations, and our need for validation. We find freedom not by satisfying our desires, but by having the courage to outgrow them. The ultimate takeaway of Schopenhauer's philosophy is a powerful inversion of how we define success. True wealth is not measured by how much we have conquered, but by how much we have quieted the internal storm. We are left with a fundamental question about our own daily existence. Are we going to remain passive prisoners of our next impulse, chasing the phantom of tomorrow, or will we find the strength to step off the pendulum? The world will continue its loud, chaotic rush, and the forces of desire will always pull at our attention. But the philosophy of Schopenhauer remains an eternal reminder that the greatest victory is not bending reality to your will, but finding the stillness that exists when the will is finally at peace. To step off the pendulum is not an act of cowardice or surrender. It is the ultimate rebellion against a biological programming that demands we never feel whole. Modern culture tells us that to stop striving is to die. We are bombarded with the gospel of more status, more acquisition, more noise. But Schopenhauer's pessimism cuts through this frantic optimism like a cold blade, revealing that the race has no finish line. The destination we are running toward does not exist. When we look at this through a modern lens, we see that our entire societal infrastructure is engineered to exploit the very psychological loop Schopenhauer diagnosed. Every notification, every advertisement, every carefully curated algorithm is designed to keep the will in a state of perpetual irritation. We are intentionally kept hungry because a hungry consumer is a predictable one. By understanding the metaphysical machinery driving our desires, we gain the rare ability to look at the bait and choose not to bite. This realization shifts our relationship with the world from one of desperation to one of profound clarity. We no longer see the objects of our desire as keys to salvation, but merely as temporary scenery. If a new achievement or a luxury item comes into our lives, we can enjoy it without the crushing expectation that it will fix our internal emptiness. We expect it to fade. We expect the boredom to return, and because we expect it, the illusion loses its power over us. Schopenhauer ultimately challenges us to reevaluate our relationship with the concept of nothingness. In Western thought, emptiness is feared. It is viewed as a vacuum to be filled, a silence to be broken. But in the quietude of a silenced will, that nothingness transforms into a profound, heavy peace. It is the peace found in the spaces between thoughts, the silence between notes, and the moments when we demand absolutely nothing from the present reality. We do not need to retreat to a monastery or discard all our earthly possessions to practice this philosophy. The battleground is entirely internal. It is practiced in the split second between experiencing an impulse and choosing whether to act on it. It is found when we allow ourselves to simply sit with our boredom rather than rushing to drown it in digital distraction. It is achieved when we look at the chaotic, striving world around us and choose, even for just an hour, to be a spectator rather than a participant. The monuments of the ambitious will eventually fall. The empires built on restless hunger will crumble into dust, and the endless chasing of tomorrow will always end in the same quiet grave. But the individual who has learned to quiet the will has already conquered the universe. They have unlocked the only freedom that matters, the freedom from themselves.